Charlie Kirk weighs in on what's been happening with the SNAP crisis. Watch this.
I believe Christian charities and churches should step up and feed and to clothe and to be a helping hand, not government. In fact, we used to be a country that we had a lot more private charities going and helping people in need. In fact, I would make a contention, if the government cut all of its social welfare, every church would step up to make sure that no kid went hungry in this country and that no kid would die of starvation.
I would love if my tax dollars went to helping people who needed food. That's my argument here.
Well,
I think
it does. Over $1 trillion a year goes to food stamps and SNAP and Medicaid.
Perfect.
So,
and I'm glad with
no,
that.
but actually it doesn't help them nearly as much as you think. Let me tell you why. Because then we subsidize bad eating habits of the poor, so that the working poor is very obese, so they go buy Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and Frito-Lays. And the church is not involved, where the church would then say, hey, instead of going to the local grocery store with a bunch of food stamps and SNAP benefits, why don't you come by our church and we'll feed all of you and a much more healthy meal made by our own members, and then you can hear the gospel afterwards. That's the church in practice.
If Jesus fed people for free, taught people for free, and healed people for free, why don't we do the same?
Churches should.
Charlie is exactly right here. It is not the state's responsibility or assignment, even from the Lord, to feed everyone, to clothe everyone, to do all these things. Traditionally, that was the church's responsibility, and it actually gave the church an opening to preach the gospel to the poor. But it becomes increasingly difficult to preach the gospel to the poor if the poor aren't really poor anymore, if the poor have all their needs met by the state. But you see, this is ultimately the agenda behind the demonic entities that are responsible for things like socialism and Marxism. They want to disempower the church's ability to preach the gospel to people, and they want to replace Jehovah Jireh, the Lord God our provider, as people's gods. The state wants to replace God in the minds and hearts of many people. And here's how it works. Jesus taught us to look to the Father and pray to the Father, saying, give us this day our daily bread. But you no longer have to look to the Father to give you your daily bread if the state is providing that for you all the time. But just look at history and you'll see that these socialistic, communistic orders that have been raised over the last 150 years, they always fail. And they usually fail in spectacular manner. So if you develop a dependency on those different state programs to provide your basic needs, I'm telling you, you're going to be in a world of hurt in the days to come when they do fail. So the word of wisdom now is to wean yourself off of government dependence and start depending on the Lord. Because no matter what happens in the nations of the world, the Lord will never let you down and He'll never fail you. For more content to help you with your Christian walk, be sure to follow, like, and subscribe.